We have finally hit 10K and we are really happy. But everything started breaking after hitting 10K. The last 2 weeks have been the messiest weeks we have ever had in the history of this agency. And I want to be honest with you because I'm sharing real time, real life business development with you. And this is episode 3 of Road to 20K MRR. So, part 1 is the climb, which will explain how we actually got here. So, for anyone new joining in, we were sitting at about $5,300 per month, and right now we have reached around $10,000 to $11,000 per month. But I'm counting it as 10 because of all the transaction fees that we have to cut out. So the actual contract value is like $10,700 or $11,000, but the actual money we receive is close to $10,000. So, firstly, the not so good news, we lost a $1,000 client in the time between episode 2 and episode 3. But again, our churn rate is pretty good. Like, we lose clients not so often, and touch wood for that. And like, that's a pretty good thing. But that also taught us something, that we need to niche down and nail down the kind of people we target pretty quick, because the client which left us, it was kind of obvious that they would let us go because ultimately the niche of that client was so specific, and like, it was a topic which doesn't sort of require a podcast, if I'm being honest. Talking about the client, after the last video we onboarded 3 new clients, and one client was at $2,500, then another client was at $3,000, and also another client which I was on a call directly with was almost going to get signed on for, I guess, $2,500. But we wanted to do a trial episode with him first, since his podcast was also kind of niche and it was going to be hard to understand his design language. And we did that, but right now he's on vacation, and that contract might come back later in September when his vacation actually ends. But I'm not counting that. But keeping that aside, if you take away $1,000 from $5,300, which was the revenue last time, and if you calculate the new contract value, which is like $3,000 and $2,500, that's $5,500 plus $4,300. But like, basically we have reached 50% mark on our goal for this year, and we want to scale faster. But this is where the things actually started cracking. So this is the part that nobody shares with you. And because we are first time business owners and we have never obviously scaled a business to 10K, and this is our first time we are hitting 10K, and it took us a ridiculous amount of time to hit 10K actually. But this is a learning experience for us as well. So before this, when we were at 3 clients and relatively low deliverables for those clients, we were actually sort of able to manage them almost like there were less errors, because we had been with those clients for a very long period of time. And the hard part was never, there was no interruption because we knew those clients from multiple months. But now that we finally decided to scale to 20K and do all of the stuff and constantly get on calls and stuff, what happened was, as soon as we closed the new clients, which were relatively higher ticket compared to before, the deliverables increased by a lot. Plus, juggling 5 clients compared to 3 clients might not sound much more, but when you actually think about managing stuff, it is a lot more. We actually first time hired a general manager, or you could say a project manager, for our agency, which is a full-time hire. We are paying him a very good salary. And yeah, that was some of the things. But the problem started where the new clients actually had a lot of preferences, and because we were not that familiar with them, we actually need to stay active all the time, and there were a lot of changes, a lot of this and that stuff. And because me and my business partner have not exited the daily operations to the maximum extent until now, because we didn't feel the need to, because of the scale of the business, everything sort of came down to us, and we were the ones who were sort of responsible to make everything happen on time. And that's where the problem started happening, that because now we were juggling 5 clients, so 5 podcasts go out every week. And not just the podcast, there are multiple deliverables, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, everything needs to go through the clients, and etc etc. So it was a lot for us, even if you include the general manager. So what we decided was that we're going to stop scaling for some time, and we're going to take a break of 2 weeks to 1 month, and like, not stop the outreach entirely, but sort of slow the volume of outreach or the pace we were going at. so that we don't need to book any more calls. Even like we had a call booked, but we sort of canceled it last minute because ultimately not canceled it but like rescheduled it for a much ahead time, because right now even if we try to close a client and we end up closing them, shit is gonna break at another level, and what we realized is that at this point we need to actually create working systems, test them out, hire new people, maybe cut our profit margins by a little bit for a while to actually stabilize at this level of work, and then only we can even think about 20k MRR, because ultimately 20k is not the final number. We want to take it to 50k, 100k, a million, like why not reach for the stars, right? But the thing is that each of those stages would require us to grow ourselves and grow the business, not just in terms of clients but in terms of hires, in terms of strategy, in terms of SOPs, in terms of everything actually. So before we go towards the 20k mark, we just need to nail down the systems, nail down some good hires, some project managers, and for that purpose itself, we actually had a call with a bigger agency owner who's like at like 35 40k. I'm not going to name him obviously, but he does crazy numbers, and he gave us so many good insights that it was crazy. The first insight he gave us was that firstly, we are offering way too many deliverables to our clients for a very low amount of money. I know $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month might seem like a lot, but what we're offering them and how we are able to grow their IP and their brand and their podcast and the way we are distributing it across platforms, it is a lot of work. And he basically said that we need to raise the prices to almost double, so probably like 5 to 6k per month retainer at the current point before like onboarding another client, because the problem was never logistics, it was always money. Because until now we have been operating with a, you could say, conservative mindset in terms of spending money, because we haven't been able to pay good salaries because our margins are a little, like, they're not low, but if we start paying crazy salaries to people, we will thin down the margins by a lot. So he said to raise our prices and basically start hiring even better people, and cut down the margins of profit to a little lower point for some time, and manage for that time, and sort of put the systems in place, and then onboard a couple more clients and get them good results. And ultimately the agency business goes on like this, like you hit 10k, then you have to stabilize a little bit, nail down systems and everything, then you hit 20k, 25k, and then at every new bigger stage you start encountering new problems. And this just teaches us that every new level of business has got its own kind of demons. So we are learning that slowly. Of course, we are in a very beginner stage of business. I only consider businesses that do $40 million plus per year as real big crazy businesses, and anything below that is to be considered like a beginner level business, for me at least. Like, I hold myself to a higher standard, and I finally realized like I need to work more, I need to pay more attention, because ultimately the freedom I want will only come after I put in the work for it, right? Life doesn't owe me anything, right? I owe it everything. Like, I owe my success everything, because if I work hard today, if I work without looking at the clock, work with only my goals in mind, I'll actually get to the point where I want to be, right? So that's one thing. But coming back to the advice that the business owner gave us, or like he's like more like a friend now, but yeah. Second thing was that he told us to, he pushed really hard to lock in clients for a longer contract and deliver like great results, and everything should be crazy good for the first month at the minimum. It's not like we're gonna drop the quality in month 2, but he said like the first month to create the first impression is really really important, so that after that they can lock in for a contract for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and that way you can actually secure your MRR for a longer period of time, company revenue for a longer period of time. And the third thing he said was crazy for us. Like, it was an epiphany which I realized on the call itself, and we actually put our minds to it and thought about it, and it made perfect sense. Because before this we were working in real estate marketing stuff in India locally, so the prices were a lot lower, like a lot lower. So we had to operate with that conservative mindset where we had to negotiate with the editors, negotiate with the graphic designer, negotiate with everybody basically, and deliver the cheapest kind of, like, not the cheapest work, but let like negotiate in order to maintain a profit margin, or like make at least some money. Like, we don't want to do it for free, of course. Like, the margins cannot be like 5% or 10%. We need to keep them to a certain point when we were doing real estate. But the problem is, like, that mindset has carried on to this business where the margins are better, and we can actually afford better editors and not negotiate with them, and reward talent, reward hires. And this was an epiphany moment because we had never thought of, like you carry the old habits. And we realized it now, and we've started implementing it. Like, we have introduced incentives to our full-time hires, and we have sort of and like exited the mindset of not paying people enough or not paying people what they want, especially talented people and especially people who deserve it. So we don't want to negotiate with people. We want to at the minimum reward them for their good work, and give them and incentivize them for their good work, right? And the last insight he gave us was also great, that right now it's like a flex. Oh, I'm like 20 and 15 people work with me or under me or whatever. And that's not a flex. That's a foolish thing in terms of real business, because he said he's obviously operating at a much higher level and has more clients. He said, my team is half your size. It's only like 8-9 people. And we were like, what? He said everybody, like almost everybody, is a full-time hire. And he said that, and we were like, okay, but why? He said that because they're all full-time hires, they can work full-time on my projects only, and we have less friction while doing client communication and getting changes done, getting stuff done, and the project managers can operate more closely because the team is a lot smaller and a lot concentrated. So what happens is that everything starts moving faster because every person in the team has their entire attention towards the work, right? And because we have in our team, which are like most freelancers now, even though most of their work is with us because we like sort of give them work for the entire month, but still pay them on a project basis. So what happens is, like, they take us a little lightly, if you know what I mean. So full-time hire is the way to go after a certain point. And now the last part of the video, which is the lesson which we took from all of this, is that acquiring clients is not actually the hardest part, which we thought when we sort of entered this business space, because we're not really good at it. Now we're getting better at it, nowhere near the close or finish line, but we are still getting better at it. Now, the real lesson we took was that, firstly, every new level of business has its own demons. Secondly, you need to learn fast, implement fast, execute fast in order to grow fast. You cannot just learn or just execute, because if you don't learn, then you execute in a way. And if you learn but you don't execute or implement it, then what are you doing, right? So we learned that, and also that, like, you cannot carry the same mindset of 3 to 5k per month into 10k per month, and you obviously can't carry the mindset of 10k per month into 20k per month, because all of these levels have different sort of demons, or you could say different kind of problems. Demons means problems, actually. But yeah, that's where we are. We just hit 10k MRR, and our margins have got a little thinner because we are hiring full time for some people. But I guess it's worth it because that's the way forward. And everybody who's ahead of us, like the guy whom we were on call with, who's like doing like 4 times what we are doing right now and 2 times our goal, literally. So we want to hear his advice and we want to implement it fast, because of course he knows what he's talking about, right? And yeah, I think that's about it. And I just wanted to give you an update, and this was like the episode 3, and I just talked about all the honest, real stuff about business, right? The real problems we are facing, the real stuff that's happening in real time. And after this point, we're going to grow like crazy, we're going to scale like crazy, because we've finally learned a lot of new things, and we're going to keep learning, until we run this business, like until the very end point, no matter what number we get at, because there's always more to learn, higher revenues to go to, higher profit margins to go to. And I just want to build a very concentrated, great company which delivers great results, has really good relationships with their clients, and etc, etc. I think that's about it. That was it. And I'll see you next time in episode 4. hopefully we ended by episode 4 or episode 5, because I'm taking huge gaps between the videos, because I only want to update you guys when I actually think we made some progress and we had some learnings. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think in most probably in next episode, or maybe by the 5th episode at max, we will have hit more than 20k, or like at least 20k, right? So I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye bye. Tata. See you soon.